What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. The American League defeat the National League 5-3 in the All-Star game last night. Jarren Duran, outfielder for the Boston Red Sox, was the MVP. Taking the fifth or the sixth inning, he had a two-run homer. Go-ahead two-run homer to give the Red Sox, team he plays for. The American League, the lead, was going to be in the game-winning home run. He's a really good story. A couple of years ago, he was really struggling. He was, one of the opposite of a fan favorite, basically, in Boston among Red Sox fans. He lost a can of corn flat below the lights. He was struggling at the plate. Was none of it looking like he was not going to even be a starting power player in the MLB. He's a guy he's battled a lot of mental health issues, and he's completely just broken out and transformed into the game. Now he's one of the best center fielders in all of baseball, and now was an All-Star and was also second MVP. So congratulations to Jarren Duran. Very, very cool story. So we got the NBA news. Pat Bev is going to Israel. Apparently, they gave him an offer he can't refuse. He couldn't refuse. He's going to play basketball in Israel. Kind of sounds like he, was with a bitch in the NBA after what he did, at the end of the season for the Milwaukee Bucks. He was too scared, but whatever he wants to say is what he wants to say. He will be in Israel this year. Hopefully never in the NBA again. I'm tired of him shoving guys from behind, throwing basketballs at fans. I'm tired of his act. And the Milwaukee Bucks, speaking of the Bucks, they signed Gary Trent to a one-year deal. I think it's a good move for the Bucks. He's a very good shooter. Last year, averaged 13 points a game, shot 42 from the field, 39 from 3, 7 from the line. 39% from 3. I think first cruise is about 38.7 from 3. So he's a really good three-point shooter to have on your bench. He's been around for a bit. He was in Portland for a while. He was in Toronto. And was a free agent. He just signed with the Bucks. So he'll be a good three-point shooter for the Bucks to have on the bench. And the Denver Broncos extend off the guard Quinn Miners. Let's probably pronounce that name right. 4 years, $80 million. He was one of the highest graded guards in the league last year. Had an 84.7 guard on PFF. I think he only gave up 4 sacks and 2 penalties, made move reverse. But he had a really good year last year, and Denver locks him down. They're getting all the touches they can get because their quarterback situation is very, very bad. They have a rookie Bo Nix. You have Zach Wilson. Obviously, you give the 5th round pick for him for whatever reason. The Jets or a 6th round, whatever it was. He's terrible. And then you have Jarrett Stidham still there. He was your backup last year, struggled last 2 games of the year. He's not a starter in the NFL. Yeah, it's probably the worst quarterback room in the league, and one of the worst we've seen in the last few years. We've seen some bad ones. Let's continue my NFL offseason recap series for every team. We're going to do 8 teams today. I missed yesterday. By the way, I've noticed I'm on Zoom. Fortunately, there's some small issue going on with the studio once again. My apologies. So I'll have to be on Zoom for a little bit longer than I thought. I'm hoping by August we'll be all good to go. But again, it's one of those things I don't have any control over. Could be ready next week, could be ready tomorrow, could be ready in a month, could be ready in a couple of weeks, but hoping at least by August it's ready for me to use full time. So I'll be on Zoom for, unfortunately, if I had to guess, probably about 2 weeks, but I thought it was all fixed a couple days ago, and then all of a sudden I went to record yesterday and I couldn't even get in. But they're so good to work on. So let's get started. Let's start with the Chicago Bears. So the Bears made a lot of moves this offseason. You add a lot to your offense. You trade for Keenan Allen, who, although he's not healthy a lot, he is one of the best receivers in the league when he's healthy. I'll say at least a top 15 receiver in the league when he's healthy. You only give a 4th round pick for him. He's still very good, though he's getting older and has some injury concerns. You went out, and obviously Caleb Williams is the big one. You draft number overall with him in a minute. But you also drafted Roma Dunes in the top 10. He's already a good young receiver. You signed DeAndre Swift, who's a very good running back. You give him a 3-year deal. He had a very good year last year in Philly. Best year of his career, had over 1,000 yards. Only had 5 touchdowns on the ground because they did the tush push every single time they got to the goal line. He would have had a lot more goal line work for that. So they added a bunch of weapons. Also, the big question is Caleb Williams. if you've watched this show for more than probably 5 minutes in any time in the last probably since February, you know my feelings on Caleb Williams. Not a fan. He's going to be a flop in the NFL. A lot of concerns I have with him. But, if he reaches the ceiling, he could be one of the more talented quarterbacks we've seen come out in a while. So it all depends on him. Also, to me, I think Eberflus has got to be him and Ryan Poles, the GM there, got to be on the hot seat. For 2 years, they've been very bad, bro. Right? You got Justin Fields out of there. You just didn't draft him, and you brought in your own quarterback. You took the gamble and drafted Caleb Williams, number 1 overall. And Ryan Poles did a good job. He went out and got Keenan Allen. He went out and got Roman Duty. He went out and got DeAndre Swift. And now it's time for him to make the playoffs. The division is very good. The Lions are going to be a very good team. Green Bay looks very good. Both of the teams will be at least playoff teams. I think the Bears have to make the playoffs this year. I mean, maybe if Caleb's an absolute disaster, but also then, why did you draft the kid? I mean, it's clear to everybody that the kid's got had some issues coming into the league, and he flops in year 1. It's like, well, kind of told yourself. But if he plays really well, they make the playoffs. Now they look like a genius. So the whole thing is Caleb Williams. But yeah, they had a good offseason. They brought in a lot of nice pieces, and they just got to see if they can execute them and make them all work. Next up is the Miami Dolphins. They also didn't have a great offseason. They lost a bunch of pieces on defense. You lose Van Ginkel, who's a very good linebacker. You lose a veteran corner, Xavier Howard, who was getting a little bit older, but still was pretty good. You let him go as a cap casualty. You're the defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio. You moved on from him. That was a bit of a surprise. I think you didn't get along with all the players. I don't mind the Anthony Weaver hire. I think he'll make a good defensive coordinator, but I'm not sure why you got rid of Vic Fangio. He's one of the better defensive coordinators in the league. He's not a very good head coach, but he's a very good defensive coordinator. Christian Wilkins was a big loss in the middle of that defense. One of the best tackles in the league. He got a big contract from the Las Vegas Raiders. So you lose him. Also, you got Bradley Chubb coming off a 20 CL. He might miss the start of the season. So we'll see how they respond to that. You drafted a kid in the first round, Chop Robinson. Overall, I think the kid's got a lot of talent. He's very fast for a guy his size. I thought they reached from a little bit. I thought he was very end of the first or early second round guy. They took him 23. But he could be a pretty good player. Not sure how good the value is though. You still have Jalen Phelps, who's a youngster, also coming off of injury. So you have a lot of D linemen up front there coming off injuries. Obviously, you lose Christian Wilkins in the middle. So overall, their defense is definitely worse. I mean, look, they should be very good offensively. Brought in Odell. I don't know what they're expecting to get out of him. He had 30 catches last year. He doesn't have much left, but he won't be asked to do a whole lot because you have Tyreek Hill, who's maybe the fastest receiver in the league, maybe on the planet, and he's top 3 in the league, skill-wise as well. And Jay Lyle's also extremely fast and one of the best receivers in the league. Raheem Mostert had 18 touchdowns last year. Devon Achane healthy is a big play threat waiting to happen. I mean, look, they're not going to Super Bowl with Tua. When he has pieces around him, he can be a decent quarterback and get you to the playoffs, but when he has to step up even a little bit, he's not been able to do so. I don't know what they're expecting out of him. And now he's going into last year's contract, and maybe talking extension. On top of that, he might be the biggest injury risk in the NFL. The dude's had 3 concussions. He's one bad hit away from his career probably being over. So if you give him, 5 years, $257 million, and 8 games into the season, his career ends, that will cripple your franchise for years. So I think they should kind of hold off on that. Honestly, I would let him play out the last year of his contract, and then if he steps up, okay, now we can, talk about a long-term deal. You play the franchise tag game. Also, that's what they should do. They're like, all right, if he goes out and has his typical year, 4,000 yards, 32 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, but can't get done in the playoffs, can't elevate when he has to step up, you either let him walk, or you put the franchise tag in, tag him, and maybe work. If you want to keep him for a couple more years, maybe you work on a bridge contract, a 2 or 3 year deal for a salary that's fair for both sides. Or if you can't agree on anything, he's like he wants a bag, we're gonna want to move on, tag him, and then trade him. Get a draft pick for him and start fresh. They thought there was a bunch of pieces on offense. Their division got a whole lot worse. The Bills, were in cap crunch. They had to lose a bunch of guys. Just on paper, are very good, but you have a 40-year-old quarterback coming up with torn Achilles, and he didn't play it all last year, basically, besides the first 4 plays. And the Patriots aren't going to be a playoff team, most likely. They're obviously they do have a rookie quarterback and a rookie head coach. It's kind of a new era there in New England. So Miami could end up winning the division. That being said, this seems like the last couple of years, that's every year that happens, and then they collapse. But honestly, they cannot collapse. If they cannot collapse, they should be very good. Next team I'm covering is the Kansas City Chiefs. So they had a wild off season with a bunch of guys getting into trouble. You have that guy, what was it? Ruggs, whatever his name is. He got arrested a couple times. They cut him. You had Rashee Rice. He causes a hit and run and then flees the scene. He turns himself over to the authorities. We're not sure if he's going to get suspended. And then, like a month later, he punched a photographer in the face and was arrested for that. So I don't know what's going on with that dude. You had a couple of offensive linemen who got arrested, I think, for freaking driving. The kicker Harrison Butker didn't do any crimes, but he went viral for some very controversial comments at a graduation ceremony. Certain people thought it wasn't certain people thought it was a bigger deal than others. So that happened. I'm not going to say whether I don't care about what people think about that. But it was just another PR thing for the Chiefs to deal with. So they had a kind of a wild off season. That those poor PR people from the Chiefs had to deal with a lot. You do lose, sticking to on the field, you do lose one of the best cover corners like Darius. You trade away to the Titans. You couldn't agree on a long-term deal after you tagged them. Much of the sure as they're suspended or not, but you do bring in Hollywood Brown, who's a solid receiver on a 1-year deal. You draft Steve Worthy in the first round, you trade up to get him. Look, I'm not very high on Worthy, but the guy's got outside game-changing speed. I don't think he has very good hands. That being said, he's a project. If anyone can develop him and make him a legit weapon, it's Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and Andy Reid there. It's like I don't expect, I'm sure they'll be great again. Obviously, you lock up Chris Jones, which obviously something that needs to happen. He's probably the best free in the market this whole season. They did not let him leave. Obviously, look, they won back-to-back Super Bowls. They still have Mahomes. They'll be fine. Up next, the San Francisco 49ers. Okay, they look obviously. We all heard yesterday. Brandon Ayuk requested a trade from the 49ers. They've been going back and forth for months. The 49ers are looking to extend him. He's a very good young receiver, but they haven't been able to agree. A couple weeks ago, they had a meeting. Ayuk's been all over social media. Voicing his frustrations as to why he's not been paid. And now he has officially requested a trade. 2 teams that he's looking to go to is the Commanders and the Steelers. Commanders makes some sense because obviously he played with Jay Daniels in college in Arizona State. They're very good together. Steelers, I'm not sure exactly why that team came to mind. Maybe he likes Mike Tomlin. Who knows? Maybe he's a big fan of Russell Wilson. Maybe he's a big fan of Justin Fields. Who knows? But those are 2 teams he said in the past that he would prefer to go to. So, Commanders said that they were planning on trading him. The Patriots called about him. They said no, he's not available. They hung up the phone. I think what's happening here is the 49ers were like, all right, we'll give you, $24 million a year. And Ayuk wants to be in that $20 to $30 million range, with Tyreek Hills and Levante Adams. Justin Jefferson just got $35 million a year from the Vikings. And to be honest, I kind of signed with the 49ers because, look, Ayuk's really good. He's obviously an excellent number 2 receiver next to Deebo Samuel. So you have Caleb McCaffrey there. Could be a one on another team, possibly. But, look, they drafted Ricky Pearsall in the first round. You have Deebo, who's a great player when he's healthy. Kale's a stud. McCaffrey's the best running back in the league. They don't really need to pay him. They don't really need to. That brings me to the next point. This year is Super Bowl or bust for the 49ers. Every year you get close and you come up a little short. few years ago, you're in Super Bowl against the Chiefs. You're up 10. There's like 6 minutes left, and you lost. The year after that, you were in the NFC Championship, and you lost. Tartt dropped that wide open interception from Matthew Stafford, and ended up losing that game. The year after, all the injuries to your quarterbacks. Brock Purdy takes over, plays great, gets to the conference championship against the Eagles, and then he blows out his elbow. They end up losing. Last year, they get to the Super Bowl, and you lose to the Chiefs again. You lose in overtime. And now this year, look, they're going to lose Debo or Ayuk games. Ayuk by next year. Ayuk might get traded before this season starts. But at one of the, and remember, they're going to train Debo as well because they just can't afford to pay all these guys. You're paying Kittle all this money. You just gave him the cap fee on extension, making the highest paid back by a long shot. You're paying Debo a lot of money. You're paying Trent Williams a lot of money. Nick Bosa's on a huge deal. Frank Warren's on the big deal. You got to pay Brock Purdy a crap ton of money next year. Ayuk's got a contract coming up. Debo's got a contract coming up. There isn't enough money to go around. They every year they get to the conference championship and they just continue to come up short. I have my doubts. Their offensive line isn't that great. It was a problem last year. Watch back Super Bowl back. Chiefs were getting, all out pressure on Purdy practically every single play, and didn't really do anything to improve it. Their secondary, to me, is a little bit of a problem. A little less of a problem, especially since their front seven is so amazing. But they'll win a lot of games. They'll easily win the division. Purdy is a good quarterback at the very least. He's got the best weapons you could possibly ask for. No reason why they should not be the 1 seed in the NFC. And if I was a betting man, I would pick them to go back to the Super Bowl. But you have to win. Also, with Kyle Shanahan, I think he's a great coach, but what are we doing? He has not been in the Super Bowl. He blows leads in the playoffs every single year. Next team is the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee had a bit of a reset, letting go of head coach Mike Vrabel, bringing in Brian Callahan. And overall, did a lot of good things. You signed Calvin Ridley, who's a very good receiver. Didn't have as good as we thought last year in Jacksonville, but did have over 1,000 yards. Then you make moves to bring in Tyler Boyd, a solid receiver. You reunite him with Callahan, who was opposite coordinator of Cincinnati. Obviously, Derrick Henry leaves, but you do bring in Tony Pollard, who, look, people complain a lot about him last year. He didn't break out the way we thought he did, but he still had just over 1,000 yards, 4 yards a carry. He's a good pass catcher. He's a good running back. Titans tend to get the most out of their running back. Tyler Spears, who played well last year, is still there. But you draft Jason Davidson overall. Again, they may have reached a little bit for him. I would have went with Oli Prashine with that pick, but I do think he'll be a very good offensive lineman. Bill Kelly is one of the greatest offensive line coaches of all time. Of course, Brian Fowler. He's coaching the offensive lines. So overall, they had a very good offense. You bring in Snead, you just mentioned that he's a really good cover corner. You bring him in. You also just signed Jamal Adams for depth, I guess. What to say about that? You've done nothing left. Apparently, they're looking to sign Justin Simmons and Quandre Diggs, 2 veteran statements who are definitely starting caliber players who are still available. Very surprisingly, I know the Simmons are interested in, but apparently he wants more money than they want to give him. They're looking at Quandre Diggs as well, so they might be adding another piece to the secondary as well. But Titans, I think, will be a competitive team. Obviously, it all depends on Will Levis. They had a very good offseason, and they set their rebuild up very well. Up next is the Los Angeles Rams. They didn't do a whole lot. Obviously, the big news was Aaron Donald retiring, one of the all-time great the players of all time. Maybe the great defensive tackle of all time. And you draft Jerry Burks in the first round. That's a very good pick, a very good speed rusher. I think he'll be a very good player in the NFL. So you draft him, they should be pretty good. And then they had a very strong draft. You also took take a solid running back and Blake Corum, Michigan. Him and Kyrie Williams are going to do a lot of damage. They should have a very good offense. Yeah, the Rams didn't do a whole lot in free agency, but they recently re-signed John Johnson. He's back from the start with the Rams, but they should be a pretty solid team this year. The Washington Commanders are my next team. They did a lot. They were very busy. They had a lot of cap space, and they did a lot of things. I'll be drafting names at the 2nd overall pick. You sign a couple of linemen, including your center, Cowboys have Tyler Baez, who I think was pretty good. They had a couple pieces of defense. Dwayne Armstrong was a solid pass rusher, had 7.5 sacks as a rotational pass rusher for the Cowboys last year. You signed him for 3 years. Bringing a very good linebacker who's very underrated, Frankie Louvu's a nice little gadget player. You make a bunch of moves. So I'm not sure how these guys all fit together. To be honest, I like the Austin Eckler signing more than most. I don't think he's washed. He has no value as a runner anymore, but I think he's still a very good pass catcher. He can be like that, like that pass catching, like the James White kind of player Akers had for years. I think Brian Robinson is a solid player. But with Jaden, I would have taken Drake May. Jaden's very raw. But he's got, the offensive line isn't very good, but look, Robinson is a solid back. Eckler can catch the ball still. Tim McClung is a very good receiver. Dotson's a good player. I don't know if I love the Kingsbury and the air raid offense. It has its positives. It has its drawbacks as well. I don't really know if it works in the NFL. Didn't really work when he was head coach in Arizona. So I'm not sure if that will work. I mean, Daniels has a cannon, don't get me wrong, but obviously there's been a viral clip going off in Hard Knocks when the Giants brought him and Drake May. You saw Drake was a lot sharper. It's one clip, but at the same time, I had Drake May ahead of Jane Daniels. Most people, I think, felt that way as well. Also, there were rumors Jane Daniels didn't want to go there. One of those rumors is going to pull an Eli. He shut that down now, so that didn't end up happening. But I don't think he wanted to go to Washington. Also, you have a defensive-minded head coach who failed in his first season overall, and Dan Quinn. I don't really think he's a great head coach. He's a fine defensive coordinator. But also, after that horrendous performance by defense and Anthony Walker against the Packers, and obviously the Packers Cowboys playoff game, that guy got a head coach job. I don't know. So, not sure if they're surrounding Dan with the best people, but look, they did bring in some nice pieces in the offseason. I think Dan has a potential to be very, very good. I think he'll either be basically Lamar Jackson with a better arm. It could be an absolute stud. Or 3 years from now, the Commanders will be back at the draft table, drafting the quarterback again because he flopped. I mean, more towards a flop, but I just don't trust the Commanders with my life. And then up next is the Atlanta Falcons. That's the last team I'm going to cover today. They did a lot of big things in the offseason. Of course, Kirk Cousins was a big one. 4 years, $180 million. He's obviously a solid quarterback. You also bring in Jordan Mooney, a solid receiver as well. The Michael Penix thing was very silly. I don't know why you drafted the kid in the 8th overall. This just didn't make sense. So you threw $180 million and $100 million guaranteed, a 36-year-old coming up with torn Achilles, and then you draft a 24-year-old with injury concerns who you plan to sit until he's 28, and then going into his 5th-year option, you have to pay him, top 10 million to sit on the bench. You might think, he gets to learn from Kirk Cousins. He's got some nice weapons there. In 4 years from now, Bijan Robinson might not be there. Drake London might not be there. Kyle Pitts might not be there. Zach Robinson, the offensive corner, who I like a lot, might not be there. Raheem Morris, the head coach, if he flops, especially, might not be there. Now, I'm not sold on him at all, considering how bad his first day as a head coach was. So, stupid pick, but look, on paper, they should win that division. That division's very bad. At the very least, it looks like Raheem Morris and Zach Robinson are going to make Bijan local point their offense. Kyle Pitts should get some more looks in the red zone. Overall, they have a solid team, and they should win their 10 games, which will be enough to win that division. All right, that's all I got for you guys today. Not going to do anything tomorrow because I'm working, but most likely it's going to be Friday. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.